Hey, Deck It Out DIYers. This is our kid edition of our March subscription box. We are so excited to have you here, and our theme this month is Easter. So in your box, you will find How to Catch the Easter Bunny, the book. You will find an egg with a treat, and you will find all the materials to create this freestanding frame, Some Bunny Loves You. You will also find this piece of paper, which is a coloring sheet. So color it, decorate it, and put it inside your frame until you get a picture to put inside your frame. You'll also have all the materials for this, including the fun pom-pom. We can't wait to get started, so let's dive in. Okay, so when you start painting, it's a good idea to pre-plan what colors you're going to paint each piece. So we're going to paint, you can start painting. We're going to paint the top frame teal. Now you have all of these colors to choose from, so go ahead and pick a different color. What we're doing is we're dabbing just a little bit of paint on the top board so that you can still see the detail lines. So you'll notice that she's just dabbing paint. So she'll dab it in her paint cup, and then she will dab it. Let's bring that over here. She'll dab it on her, either your craft paper or maybe a paper towel or a paper plate so that there's not a lot of paint on it. Now show them how much paint is there. Okay, not too much paint, and then she'll dab on her sign here. Okay, so you'll want to continue this method of painting all the way around the top frame part of the project. Then, when she gets down to this larger spot, can we show them this larger spot? If you want, when you take your paint, you can dab in this spot, or you could take your larger sponge, put just a little bit of paint on it, and paint it back and forth. But we would recommend dabbing light paint. So we got a little bit too much paint up in this corner. So I'll dab some of it off. So if that happens at home, if there's too much paint that gets on there, just dab some of it off so that you can still see those lines. Okay? And then on this board, paint the sides. So take your bigger sponge, the yellow gold sponge, and run the paint along the sides. You're going to put this together, all glued together. So if you get a little bit of paint on the front, that's not a problem. Okay? But we would recommend painting the sides, and you could even do a fun color. You could do every side a different color if you wanted. We are excited to see what design you come up with. So continue painting these two pieces and then put them aside, and we will start painting our next project piece. Once you have completed painting the sides and you've completed painting this top part, you can set these aside to dry. You might want to come back and do a second coat. We did not paint this piece because it is going to be glued behind as a spacer. We also did not paint the edges because they are burnt edges, and we are okay with those edges not being painted. However, you could paint them if you would like. So we're gonna set these aside to dry, and now she's gonna work on her words, Some Bunny Loves You. Now these are a little bit fragile, okay? So, you can do yellow. Pick which color you'd like. You're gonna do that same dabbing technique. So dip it in the paint. Try not to get too much paint on there. Dab it off. Maybe pull the paint up here so it's not in your way. Dab it off, and then you're gently gonna dab on the tops of the letters. Look at how nice and easy that is to paint. So you might want someone to help you hold it down, or if they're old enough, they can hold it down for themselves, and then you'll just dab. Now this will take one coat of paint, maybe two, but again, you don't need a lot of paint. When she needs to refill her paint on her sponge, she can just go back up to this top puddle of paint here and get some more, so she doesn't have a lot of paint. Thickness of tissue paper. She'll continue to paint this word moving across, and then we'll get started on our other pieces.
There's a little.
Okay, so she decided to add a little bit of yellow on the heart, and to do that, she took the small part of the sponge and just dabbed it. Now we'll set this aside to dry, and she'll grab her next project piece, and that is the arrow that says hop this way. Now these words are engraved on here. They're not, when you feel them, you'll notice that paint can get into this. So you really want to do not a lot of paint at all. So we'll dab it in the paint dish. We'll dab it off. See how there's like the thickness of tissue paper, and we'll dab lightly. Don't push hard, just dab lightly so that your letters don't get filled with paint. Can you scoot back a little bit so they can see? There we go. So she's dabbing lightly so that she doesn't fill it with paint. And when you use less paint, you don't paint on the sides, or paint doesn't drip on the sides. So then you still have that clean, crisp, burnt look on the sides. This one we'll probably let dry and then come back for another coat of paint. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. Last up, her last project piece is her bunny. What color are we painting the bunny?
White.
White. Okay, so same technique. Dip the sponge in the paint, dab it off on your craft paper, and then dab away. We are using the pom-pom instead of this scored, the scored pom-pom. So if you want to paint that in and not use the pom-pom for your bunny, that's okay. You have options. So she'll paint this nicely, and then we will go back and we'll do a second coat of paint on the yellow, and maybe even a second coat of paint on this yellow heart. Yellow is kind of a finicky color, so you might want more than one coat. You can paint on that, yep. We're gonna glue the pom-pom on, but it's okay to paint right over that.
Yeah, anyway, I can see it.
So continue painting and then go back and do a second coat on any project pieces that you would like to do a second coat on, and then we will show you how to assemble. Okay, we have painted our pieces. Now, one thing we noticed when she went back to do her second layer of yellow on here, she accidentally got a little bit too much paint. So we just took, we have X-Acto knives in the studio, but a pencil or a toothpick would work really great, and we just kind of scraped out some of that paint she got in. So not a big deal at all. Just pull out some of that extra paint. Okay, so now she's ready to assemble. These pieces dry really fast because you're not using a lot of paint. And this is where I would recommend having an adult help, because this is super glue. It will glue your fingers together if you get it on your fingers. So you'll run some glue down your pieces. Okay. There we go. And then you'll want to just line this up. Okay, and that's set. And then you'll do the same thing for this one. Run the glue around the pieces. Yes. Okay. And then line up the pieces again. Okay. Now if I push too hard, it kind of shimmies and shakes, and we don't want that. I'll pull this up. Maybe that'll be helpful. Okay. Now, I'm gonna ask you, where would you like your somebody loves you? Where do you want your bunny? Why don't we lay it out before we glue it? Okay, so hop this way, the bunny right here. Now the bunny could go here if you wanted it to. Bunny could really go anywhere. Kind of fits nicely in this spot because the words are set up for it, but surprise us. Let us know what you create. Are we okay with where everything is right now? Okay, we'll do that in a second. So for this one, you're just gonna go through and add some of the glue to the letters. And we don't need too much
glue.
You're right, we don't need too much glue. Okay, but I like to make sure that my end letters for Shirley are stuck down. And some of the letters in between. So we will get some glue on there.
Not too much though.
And then the heart. Not sure I was on the camera for that, but get your glue on there, and then wherever you lay it down, that's where she'll be. Okay, so this is where we're gonna have that. I'll put some glue on this bunny.
Not too much. But
Okay.
it really needs to stick.
There's the glue for the bunny. Is that good here? You wanna give it a little tap? And then because she's gonna put this across the top up here, I'm just gonna do a line of it, and then she wanted it right there. Now, you can arrange this again however you would like. I'll put glue on the bunny, and then you put the pom-pom on, okay?
Careful.
There you go. There's your glue.
But it's not really sticked.
There we go. Yep, it's not stuck down yet, is it? So you just gotta be careful.
Ah,
What did it get stuck to? The paint on your fingers?
maybe.
Maybe. Okay,
My pinky can do it.
so you put your glue there, and then let this all dry. How cute is that? Now, we will have an insert for you that you can put in there, but this also will fit a photo. So very fun Easter project to go along with your book and your treat for this month. Thanks for joining us for this month's Deck It Out DIY tutorial. Hey, Deck It Out kids, you just made your project for this month. Do you love it? I'm sure you do. We can't wait to see it. So be sure to ask a grown-up to jump on social media and tag us in your photos on both Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next month.